Ndị be anyị ekenekwanụ m unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị nke taata. Dịka o si dị, ihe a bụ Eastern News 24 ka anyị si wee na-ewetara unu ya bụ nnukwu ozi gbara ọkpụrụkpụ gbasịta maka ihe na-eme n'obodo a na gbasịta maka nwere ụwa na-azọ. Dịka o si dị na anyị n'iru akwụkwọ, onye na-afụ n'iru akwụkwọ bụ nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Mr. Peter Obi Gringori. Ọ bụ nwafọ Igbo ka ọ bụ, anyị ama ntụfu ya etufu, mana ọ nwere ihe mere n'iru akwụkwọ a anyị si ka anyị wetara unu maka ọ dị na ọ bụ na unu ada anụ ihe na-eme, maka a ga na-ewetakwara unu ọbjekt gbasịta maka ihe na-eme n'obodo a nọ n'ime ya, n'obodo agwụgwọ. Ihe m gwara ndị mmadụ n'obodo agwụgwọ, ma ndị mmadụ aghọtara, obodo etigo ka ego Malawi. Ifeadị ego Malawi na-abụzi ego igwe. O nwere ihe Peter Obi kwuru n'iru akwụkwọ ebe a, then o kwụsịrị tin ọzọ unu ga-anụkwa bụ the reaction the file na Dr. Apati from Rise News. O nwere ife ọ kọwara dị omimi nsi ka mba na sọma ama nge ya bụ ife na mmetinye na ụmụchukwu ga-ege ya bụ ife bụsa ihe na ọgba eziokwu, onye na-ekwu eziokwu. Nwere ife ọ kọwasị n'iru akwụkwọ gbasara maka speech Peter Obi nyere na leadership ebe e nyere ya awọdụ. O nwere ihe akọwasị na Rise News, unu ga-efere ya na jeje and anyị ga na-etiri unu ya, unu ga na-eso ya n'usoro, unu gecha nke Peter Obi, unu ya fụdere the actions from Rise News. Ifefakwu. All right, over to you.
Mr. President, being represented here, and His Excellency the Governors, let me very respectfully stand on all due and existing protocols. First is to most sincerely thank leadership for this event, thank our keynote speaker. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. And I thank all that are gathered here. For me, I always say this award is, I'm grateful to the Almighty God that I had this opportunity, and always opportunity whenever possible. I've said it this every day. I am not desperate to be president of Nigeria. I'm desperate to see Nigeria work. I'm desperate to see Nigeria fight poverty. And I listened to what the keynote speakers said today. And you could see it in my tweet yesterday. We have no reason being part of poverty in the world, especially in the North. The North have no reason to be poor. We will make more money in this country from agriculture than we make from oil any day, anytime. Because it's happening everywhere. I read yesterday that Ukraine is giving Nigeria grain. Ukraine is at war. The whole of northern Nigeria is 268,000 square kilometers. Ukraine is 603,000 square kilometers. They have no reason to give us grain because we have the land. Why are they giving us grain? Because 60% of their land is cultivated, 60% of our own is uncultivated. And the people even say it's for Northeast. I might be governor of Niger State is here. Niger State can feed Nigeria. Niger State can feed Africa. Niger State is occupying 76.3 thousand square kilometers of land. They can feed Nigeria. Netherlands, with 33,000 square kilometers, which Niger State is twice, exported last year $125 billion of agricultural products. Niger State can do 5% of that, which is $6 billion. They don't need to come to Abuja. Northeast is collapsing. They say there's a problem in the Northeast. It shouldn't be. The two biggest states in Northeast, Borno and Taraba combined, Borno alone is over 70,000 square kilometers. Taraba is 54,000. Two of them combined is 125,000 square kilometers, 4 times the size of Belgium, at 30,000 square kilometers. And Belgium is doing over 20 billion export. There's so much we can do with this country. Let people stop wasting everybody's time and put these young people that are giving us problems in terms of criminality out of poverty, and you reduce criminality. The more you put people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. It's a simple People make it look difficult. Let's invest in the north. We have what it takes to make Nigeria. Let's do it now.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning? Love your glasses. They're new, aren't they? Good morning, Rufai.
I'm too far away from you.
You're too far. Don't worry. We miss Ayo. Ayo was fantastic yesterday. She was compare at the Wigwe event yesterday. She did amazing. We miss you. You are.
Ayo, there are implications. Implications. Ayo.
She can hear you. Don't worry.
There are implications.
She's up to the task.
She's up to the task.
Well, all right. We miss you. Well, all right, let's begin what's trending. In the wake of the looting of warehouses and frustration over economic hardship in the country, the federal government on Monday announced that it will begin the distribution of grains nationwide to cushion the impact of the hardship. In a post on X, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, sympathized with Nigerians affected by the hardship. His tweet reads in part, "I understand the gravity of the situation, especially with the unfortunate event of foodstuff warehouse looting. Amidst these challenges, I want to assure you that our commitment to your well-being remains resolute. We shall commence the distribution of 42,000 metric tons of grains as approved by Mr. President across the 36 states of the Federation as one of the programs to be rolled out this week. We are working hand in hand with NEMA and the DSS to ensure that the grains get to the right people in the right packages and quantities. Furthermore, 58,500 metric tons of milled rice from mega rice millers will also be released into the market for stabilization." All right, I guess this is good news, but this is what we have been hearing from the federal government, Dr. Abati Rufai. I mean, they're saying this week, today is Tuesday already. Well, I hope that we'll hear something by tomorrow or the day after.
A small point.
Yes.
Senator Abubakar Kyari is Minister of Agriculture and Food Security.
Yes.
Now, this is the thing I don't understand. The figure that he gave, he said 42,000 metric tons of grains, and then 58,500 metric tons of milled rice from rice millers. What they told us originally was that government will provide 42,000 metric tons of grains, and then they will get, farmers, big farmers, to give 60,000 metric tons. So what happened to the 1,500 metric tons?
It's been reversed.
So no, the Minister of Agriculture was us an explanation.
Absolutely.
Because our 1,500 metric tons has suddenly been subtracted from the 60,000 that was promised. What happened?
Well, I guess it's in tranches, but we need an explanation, really. In the meantime, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has reacted to the intervention of the government of Ukraine after they donated 25,000 tons of wheat as emergency food assistance to 1.3 million vulnerable Nigerians in the northeastern region of the country. Peter Obi, in a series of tweets on X, described the development as disheartening. His tweet reads in part, "Let me begin by sincerely appreciating the war-torn nation of Ukraine for their generous donation of tons of grains to Nigeria, thereby aiding our current fight against nationwide hunger. It is disheartening that our once economically confident nation, blessed with vast arable land and abundant natural resources, now relies on a war-torn Ukraine for food assistance. This national disgrace stems from years of leadership failure, necessitating urgent reflection and a reordering of our national priorities and resource management and allocation. Despite the conflict, Ukraine feeds itself and exports agricultural products worth over $25 billion, which is about the same value as our crude oil export earnings. And it serves as a strategic global food supplier, even providing aid to a peaceful yet unproductive Nigeria. To overcome this embarrassment, we must aggressively reorder our priorities by investing resources in productive sectors like agriculture. Addressing insecurity is crucial for farmers to return to their fields, enabling a productive manufacturing sector, and supporting small businesses. I mean, I love this type of criticism, Rufai, because it's not just about criticizing, it's about also proffering solution. I mean, I think that, you know, Peter Obi did write in that tweet that he wrote, because he did compare our arable land as well as Ukraine, saying that Ukraine is using up 60% of their arable land for food production, and they're supplying Nigeria with food. What's going on here?
And also, when you look at Ukraine, there's a plan. I think some literature say 50 to about 80 million hectares of arable land in this country. Many years ago, we used to use that land so well that we used to provide about 1/3 of the tomato in the West African sub-region, about 65, 66, thereabout. As at the 70s, I think it was 73 or 74, we had one of the biggest cocoa windfall where we did over 400,000 metric tons of cocoa. And we've pretty much hovered around that 400,000 from 50 years ago till now. Also, we had a lot of groundnut pyramids. We're good in millet, we're good in other things like that. And still, funny enough, we're doing very well as regards to tubers. But the grains have not been good enough for us. So when you see criticism like that, it's well on point.
Yes. Because
it's the squandering of our riches. And makes it 41 years now, Yeka, when we did that documentary, Squandering of Our Riches, NT and the BBC. And when you look at it critically, it's because we've not been able to plan. So take, for instance, last year, the president promised 150,000 hectares will be cultivated across 36 states of the country. If that was done, then to a large extent, we should be able to get some leeway. I'm sure, okay, probably if we would say they can't go across 36 states. I know states like Lagos, does not have a lot of land, very small, I mean, in square meters. States like Ogun has a lot of land, about 15,000, 16,000 square kilometers of land. States like Niger can do even multiple. But insecurity is stopping us. So at first, how quickly can we stop the insecurity problem? Secondly, also incentivize farmers to be able to go back to the farm and ensure that they cultivate. For having a storage system, because another problem about cultivation is post-harvest losses, so having a storage system, and also embracing technology and value addition in agricultural value chain. So take, for instance, the Netherlands does very well in agriculture, but they have smaller land compared to Nigeria. But they've been able to do well and harness their resources. So how can we, if my memory serves me right, Nigeria should be bigger than Ukraine in terms of land. I think Ukraine is about 600,000 square kilometers of land or thereabout, if my memory serves me right. But they can still churn out grain, and I think they're about the 6th or 7th largest producer of grain. And I'm sure that's because of the war. If not because of the war, they should be doing way better than that in numbers. So it's about looking at these holistic touch points I've talked about and investing massively in them.
Great solutions, Rufai. Dr. Abati.
Well, the key point here is that Mr. Obi is right, and it's all about leadership.
Yes.
Ukraine is one of the major exporters of agricultural products in the world. And it didn't start today. There's something they call sunflower meal. There is wheat, barley, corn, and some seeds. You will recall that as part of the crisis in this war, this Russia-Ukraine war, you know, Russia wanted to block Ukraine from exporting food. But to the main point made by Mr. Peter Obi, that Ukraine is at war, and yet is providing food aid to a country like Nigeria, where the whole of the arable land in northern Nigeria is more than all the arable land in Ukraine. That's why I say it's about leadership. It's about productivity, which Mr. Peter Obi always talks about. But what Mr. Peter Obi did not add is that it looks like in Nigeria too, we're also at war. It's just that it's a different kind of war. Boko Haram, all these bandits and insurgents, they've driven Nigerian farmers away from their farmlands. Isn't that a war situation?
It is a war.
If our farmers cannot go to the farms. So, well, part of it that he should add is that Nigerian leaders should provide such leadership that will make our farmlands safe for our farmers, so that we won't have to be getting food aid. So that Nigeria too, which is vast arable land that Mr. Peter Obi pointed to, can also be a country that will be in a position to give food aid to other countries. This, in my view, is the point.
Absolutely. Well, in the meantime, though, the Nigeria Labour Congress has said that the only thing that would stop the planned nationwide strike over the hardship in the country will be if the federal government honors the agreement it had with the union. The NLC, in a letter addressed to the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, dismissed claims by the federal government that it had fulfilled 80% of the October 2nd, 2023 agreement with organized labor and advised the federal government to adhere to their demands before March 13th, 2024. I mean, I don't know what would happen on March 13th, if they don't agree by March, but they made a lot of points, which is that the federal government have not adhered to not even half of their agreement, because the federal government came out saying that it was 80% that they had agreed. They talked about the wages, 35,000 naira has not been paid. Even they're still being owed at this point. And also the fact that the refineries are not working. They made some valid points, and they're stating that the federal government have to adhere to their demands before March 13th. Well, in the same vein, the Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, said that the recent protest by the Nigeria Labour Congress against the rising cost of living was a mere distraction. The minister made the comments during a press conference in Abuja on Monday, adding that the country needs constructive ways to tackle its challenges.
Okay, now that LSC went out there to protest, what have they achieved? Somebody should answer me. What was the achievement? Just a mere distraction of the federal government. But the kind of action you people will take, you will see the effects. It will be loud and clear. That's why I said no need for that. It's an unintelligent move. Because if you do things that without the end result, what is it for? Probably a few people could end up dying in the course of that. That's why I said, let's focus more on constructive way of solving our problems by coming out bold and clear on what we want. It's not like you won't protest, but if poverty should come to an end today, and then everybody is okay to an extent, would there be need for protest? How many times do they protest in developed countries that things are working right? Let's focus in getting things work right, than focusing on protesting when we are gaining nothing out of it.
All right, the minister made some points there, but protest is a fundamental human right. I mean, I've never heard anywhere in the world that you can't go out and protest your grievances. It's a democratic.
So for me, I completely disagree with her. I don't think it's a distraction. It's not a distraction. It's very important. And you see, the Tinubu government should understand one thing. I want them to do well. But you do not wish a problem will go away, and that's what makes a problem go away. You assault the problem with creative thinking, and I've not seen that thinking. It's just like feeling the way in the dark. That's what they're doing. See, the day the Tinubu government gets it right, I will be their #1 praise singer here. And when they get it right, I want to be here to be able to talk about it and blow their trumpet. But now they're not getting it right. Are you trying to stop people protesting? You think if the economy was good and you met the demands of the workers, they will go ahead and protest? The workers will have nothing to protest if everything was done properly, if you had met those agreements. I mean, most of the 35K money that they were supposed to pay, it was just some weeks in the protest they started paying that money. When you, government, has reneged upon your part consistently, then you give a lot of thunder to labor to go on the streets. Today, where's the presidential gas initiative on CNG? Where's the hectares of land that you said you were going to cultivate?
Those are the questions.
Where are all those things you said you were going to do? And the plight of the people have not improved. And that's why people are protesting. They protested under Jonathan. I keep saying that thing. So you can do it then. It's just about 10 years ago. When they do it to you now, you don't like it. I know no government likes for everybody to come and protest under their government because it makes them look bad. But the truth is, if you guys were good and doing it well, we will support you. Right. Who's got business with that?
Well, Dr. Vati. We keep making the point that the right to protest is constitutional.
I mean.
Section 40, the 1999 Constitution. So it will be wrong for anybody to say Labour cannot protest. But you will recall that all these ministers who are now coming out saying it's unpatriotic to protest, they are copying the president himself, who, practically berated organized labor for going on strike. And he said it is unacceptable to his administration. So that, and then after that, Chief David Mai, the Minister of Works,
yes,
has also said it is unpatriotic for labor to protest. And then Mrs. Uju Kennedy Ohanenye is also the one also saying it is unpatriotic. So you see, the ministers are beginning to echo the minister. What should be clear to labor is that the deadline that they have given the federal government is not going to be respected. They said if by March 13, government does not implement the agreement, the 16-point agreement of October 2, 2023, that they will be forced to now go on a full-scale, prolonged strike. What is clear from the statements by the President, the Minister of Works, and the Minister of Women Affairs is that nobody has time for labor. So that's why you have this blackmail. The thing about agreement is that agreement is sacrosanct. When you reach an agreement, you honor it.
Absolutely.
It's called pacta sunt servanda. Finally, Mrs. Kennedy Ohanenye, she was also talking at that same event about an integrity brigade that she's trying to launch. And that integrity brigade, every woman must be involved in it and all of that. Well, maybe she should focus more on that integrity brigade project. It rings fine. Integrity, a brigade of women doing positive things. That's more important. She should just leave labor alone. And being a lawyer,
right,
she should know that the right to protest is constitutional.
It is constitutional. Well said, Dr. Vatian Rufai. All right, then, let's take our final story. On Monday evening, several dignitaries gathered at the Eco Hotel Convention Center to celebrate the professional excellence of the late Group Managing Director and CEO of Access Bank PLC, Dr. Herbert Wigwe. The event began with an opening prayer, followed by segments highlighting the achievements of the iconic banker as a young man and his transition to becoming a banker and an entrepreneur, a CEO, a builder, and an ambassador. Well, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, led a horde of private sector professionals to pay tribute to the late banker as he fought hard to hold back tears in an emotion-laden speech.
Herbert was a visionary role model in fortitude and a perfectionist who gave so much of himself. Is no longer here with us, but his transformative strides are seen all over our economic landscape and even in the heart of social milieu in Nigeria and the rest of the world. Many people, including his family members, friends, and associates, church brethren, mentees, and former acquaintances have written and said a lot about a man who broke all records and pushed boundaries in the realm of banking and applied his fine skills to reshape the entire sector. His legacy in philanthropy will always never be forgotten. To immortalize my beloved friend, my brother and mentee, I have actually decided to name our major refinery and petrochemical road. Out of the 120 kilometers, the biggest road will be now named Herbert Wigwe. Because what I want is that after we have all gone, people will still be there, visit the refinery, and they will find out who was this Herbert Wigwe.
One of my joy this evening is the fact that I now know that indeed Herbert has a Lagos story in his life. He was born at the Lagos Island Maternity Hospital. That speaks volume, because indeed he's an Isaleko boy. And we're going to own it and claim it as part of us. If we're a city that gives citizenship at his place of birth, you will have been given the citizenship of Lagos Island. And we'll do something with that name and Lagos Island. Ike, you haven't lost a brother. We haven't lost a brother. You have earned 4 new children. And I know with you, they will also be fearless.
When Herbert died, time stood still, enabling millions who already knew him, but hundreds of millions more who had never heard of him, to pause in unison, to learn and reflect about this iconic African leader, and to understand the full potential of what he was about to do for humanity. The breaking story was a wave felt around the world as the news hit mobile phones, TV screens, computers. From north to south and east to west, millions of people went onto the internet, searching and examining, reading and watching, to find out just who is this man, Herbert Wigwe. And time stood still, because God wanted the world to know and to understand who his son, Herbert Wigwe, was and is, and what he truly represents.
I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way.
A real celebration of an iconic banker. The celebration was beautiful yesterday. I mean, his partner there, Iboje Imokwede, gave this glowing tribute about the fact that, you know, Herbert was always particular about time. That was one of his favorite songs. He does it his way, and I think that it's amazing to see everyone turn out for, you know, the family of the late group CEO of Access Bank, Herbert Wigwe. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Dr. Abati Rufai.
I mean, what I'll just say is this. Veni, vidi, vici. Herbert, you came, you saw, you conquered. Cheers, Herbert.
Yes.
To Herbert.
Absolutely.
We mourn,
yes,
but we also celebrate.
Absolutely.
And the big lesson here for everyone is that, look, the more important substance of life is the memories we share, the memories you leave behind. People shared memories of their encounter with him, including presidents of countries, from France to South Africa to America, and they had good memories to report upon.
Absolutely.
So the lesson is about the memories we leave behind as human beings and the kind of impact that we leave behind, that we make. In honoring, celebrating Herbert Wigwe, people talked about impact, influence, innovation, philanthropy. These are the things for which he's remembered.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank you both for your great and glowing tribute to Herbert as well. Thank you for your great analysis. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Ndị ba ya kenekwe m unu ọzọ na dịka si na-esola anyị na-eme na Eastern News 24. Ọ bụ na nke a bụ mbọsị izizi gị na-esola anyị na-eme. Kabarụ ka imetụ aka na share button and share ka ụmụnne anyị dọsọ wee nụkwa ihe na-eme ka wee mụla akọ mana ka ha si akwado maka ya bụ mmiri ejugo awụ ọnụ. Unu nọ ife niile Maazị Nnamdi Kanu kwuru that Nigeria can never work. It's not possible. It can never work. The only means is to divide. Mana ya bụ ife o mere n'izu o mee n'ọnwa o mere n'izu o mee n'ụzọ ụka maka egwu adago onye ọbụla na-azụzi isi owo ya. The prophecy of Maazị Nnamdi Kanu abịago to fulfillment. O nwezighị ọlọfọ ọnụ. Also the only remaining thing ọsị na mgbe ikpeazụ na Biafra ya ana na Biafra ga-ewere ụfa. Dịka o si dị dịka nụrụ ihe niile ndị kwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ a ka ife nwere ikwu n'ụdị nke gị gbasata maka ya bụ ife ọ bụrụ na esonyere anyị. Gịnị ka ị nwere ike ikwu gbasata maka ihe niile ịnụ? Kee your own contribution, kee your own suggestion. Gịnị ka ị nwere ikwu? Drop ọla ya on the Eastern News 24 ka anyị wee n'ife ichere. Alright, thank you once again and stay tuned at Eastern News 24. Ka emesịa na ụmụnne m.